Hi everyone, and welcome to this video, which is actually a bit of a demonstration video rather than a full-on tutorial. I've been practicing some mould making and casting using some materials that CFS Fibregalss sent me. They are based in Cornwall in the UK, and I'm also very grateful that they were able to offer everyone who watches this channel the chance to go to their website and add the code HII10 to get a 10% discount. Now, here I am using some of their Short 25 silicone, and it has to be weighed out appropriately, which is 5%. Now, here's how you do it wrong. 5% hardener to 100% resin. I added 0.5%, as it will say in a moment. There we go. Because I didn't read it properly, and that's because I'm an idiot. So it was a shocking waste of silicone, and I'm really upset about it. It should be a lot brighter yellow than that, and the consistency would remain the same. But to create the dam around the silicone, I used some of my son's Lego, and these are just some river pieces that I've mocked up. They're little river tiles which you can piece together to make a modular river of sorts, and then I start pouring this silicone in, and in a minute you'll see it fade to black as I realise I'd done it wrong. And of course you can guess what happens if you don't add enough hardener into the silicone. It never cured. I became very upset. There were many tears. I would have taken photos, but I was too broken to think about it. Indeed. So here's how to do it right. So this time I will be adding the 5%. More silicone, as I say. Very upset to have wasted the first bunch. It made a massive mess as well, trying to clear it up, because you tried clearing silicone up. Uncured silicone. Now here's 5%. I've used a lot more silicone here, as you can see, so there's a lot more hardener as well. So you add 5% in milliliters to the weight in grams of the silicone, and you keep mixing, and as you can see, this is a lot brighter a colour. Go around the edges with your stick to make sure you're dragging all of the silicone into the hardener, or you're mixing it thoroughly together. Decided to make two, because I knew I'd done it right this time, so I decided to make two moulds, having written one off. Well, actually I didn't write off the master. The master was okay after I'd cleaned it up considerably with all sorts of things, including isopropyl alcohol, scrubbing it fairly gently. It took a long time. But silicone only really sticks to itself. This is stuck a little bit to the bottom purely because there's a grain in the wood. But as you can see, actually removing the master from it was easy. And then you just puck out the little bits that have come out of the masters. Those are little bits of milliput stones which come off the master. I wasn't too worried about that because I could cast from these, and I knew I'd get an exact replica of the master, which I could then use as a master if I needed to. I was very happy with these moulds. I should have been able to have made 4. I think I only ended up being able to make 3 with the silicone I had because of the earlier mistake. And then I was going to cast into these, or I did cast into these using CFS's fast cast polyurethane resin. This stuff does exactly what it says on the tin. It goes off really fast. It gets very hot. You add 50-50 by weight, so 50% hardener, or part I don't know if it's part B maybe, 50% resin. It's clearly marked on the tins. Make sure that you put the lids back on straight away so that you don't get the lid stuck on later, because if you put the hardener on the resin, the hardener lid on the resin, it's got a little bit on there, then it will go off and you'll get the lid stuck. But here's me pouring. I poured this into one single cup because I had some good scales, And you can see, look at that, it's already curing, and that's not sped up. That's how quick this stuff will go off. Now, again, another mistake. I had left this far too long before stirring it because I couldn't find my stirring sticks because I didn't get everything ready. So here's another tip: get everything ready. I spent 3 minutes trying to find a mixing stick. It was probably more like a minute and a half actually. So now here's how you do it right. This is what happens when you mix it thoroughly and then pour it. You give yourself plenty of time. This still will go off within 5 minutes. You know, you'll be able to demold it pretty quickly. You'll be able to demold it even while it's still warm, but you might get some warping. So it's best to leave it until it's fully cured. But honestly, this stuff is brilliant. It goes off so quickly, and now these didn't take that long at all, probably about 7 minutes I would say. Here's what happens when you rush the resin mixing and you get the mix slightly wrong. It doesn't cure, didn't add enough hardener. And now I'm going over the molds with some black gesso. This has a slight texture in it, so it allows any paint washes you apply over the top. Not that I actually applied any washes to this, but it allows it to stick to the surface, or it gives it a kind of it paint adheres to the surface more. But after that dried, I actually used black. It was the only black I had, and it's a big pot of it anyway, because I didn't want the white to show through. And here I'm using some Vallejo European Thick Mud, which is like got bits of twig and all sorts of things in there. And I'm stippling that over the surface because this is going to be my ground texture. You've seen me in the past using dirt or soil, grout. Well, here I didn't bother, I just used the Vallejo stuff. This is just a demonstration. Now I'm just painting over the riverbed here with a bit of raw umber. You don't have to be too neat at this stage because there's a lot of blending that goes on. And I just wanted to paint some of the stones, go over them with some yellow ochres, some mossy greens, mint greens, cloud greys. All these acrylics have got different names obviously, but you can get ones that are pretty much identical to ones in other brands. They're called something completely different. I'm just taking some of the yellow off there with my finger just to give it a natural look, and then I go in with some weathering powder. This is Humbrol weathering powder mixed with some Tamiya, I believe. Some different shades. Now these are static grass tufts that I made. You can see me making them on my Patreon page if you go there. I've got a flock box which I'll show you how to use here, and those are stuck on with Mod Podge, and then I add a bit more Mod Podge matte around the edge, put some 2mm static grass on my flock box, hold it, put the clip on, hold it only about an inch over the surface as you can see, and it all just shoots up. That's how you can do lovely basing of miniatures. Now I'm just sticking on some weeds, being a little not quite so cautious here as I would usually be, purely because I just want to do this fairly quickly as a demo. Some isopropanol, again from CFS. It's dirt cheap from them, you get a big pot of it, but it's 99%. It's absolutely top quality stuff. Go over that with some Scenic glue, 3 parts water, 1 part matte medium. And now CFS's water clear epoxy. This gets measured 50-50 by volume, not by weight. So you mix it all together. Did I say earlier on that the fast cast was by volume or by weight? It was by weight on the fast cast, not volume. This is by volume. You mix it together very slowly. I'm using an old yogurt pot here, and then I'm just pouring it in with some with my stick there. Just dipped in it, being very careful. I've put some masking tape over the edges of the dam. I haven't been too careful. I wish I'd been a bit more careful. I'm usually a lot more careful, but I wanted to get this video done because I haven't done one in a long time. I've been so busy with real life work and this channel. Some Mod Podge Gloss, which you've seen me use before. What you won't see me do here is blow it around with a straw, even though I did. I thought I would filmed it, but then it turned out I'd not filmed it. I hadn't pressed record, or I'd pressed record at the wrong time, and it's recording on my bedside for about an hour. And there you can see what these tiles look like once they're pieced together. Thank you very much for watching. Head over to cfs.net and enter the code HII10 for your 10% discount and pick yourself up some top quality kit. I've always enjoyed using their kit, and it's really nice to be able to show you this. I'm very grateful to them for sending me some stuff. I hope I'll be back sooner than I have been. Thank you very much for joining me again. I really appreciate it. Cheers.